Hey guys, what's up? It's TreeBros01 here, just a 10-second bite out of this video. And today we are playing the new Forza Motorsport. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the multiplayer, some of my thoughts on it. And as for gameplay, I have all of my qualifying races. That the first two are kind of chopped up, while the third one was kind of the most intense, and I'm going to be playing it in its entirety and talking about it. And it's kind of going to highlight what I think is pretty good about the new multiplayer in Forza. That being said, the third race that you're going to see in this video is still kind of a shit show. And it's not like some of the videos I've seen where it's, oh, Forza has the cleanest racing ever. You know, that was kind of before the Game Pass users got it. And I say that as a Game Pass user. You're not going to see the cleanest races on my end here. I am still very much a Forza noob. And I still don't really have the control of my car that I would want in order to completely race clean all the time. That being said, I still try my best to, and one thing I find that I really need to work on would be not slamming into the backs of people when they brake check me kind of around corners and don't actually carry their speed all the way. I kind of end up bumping into them, lowering my speed, and giving them their more speed, causing me to not even be able to pass them in the first place. Anyways, first lap down, heading into the end of lap 2. We're still kind of battling in the back out of 12 players. We started in P5 and we're down to P8, so it hasn't been the best start ever. We're fighting against Vaculor Soul. I don't know how you say that. And Mr. Douglas 40. Gonna be trying to gain the P7 here. Bumping some paint. Overall, the tracks that you're gonna see in this video are Hakone, which is this track, and one other track. Hakone I like a lot, actually. I think it's really fun to drive. It's definitely, I'm pretty, like 99% sure it's not a real life track. It's kind of fake. But definitely a fun track. And as you can see, like even into lap 3 here, there's some battling going on. I get absolutely fucking decked, and that guy takes a couple people with him. Off track, no penalties, and we are now in 11th. So we're going to have to see how we can kind of come back from 11th place here as we head into a different lap, I believe I skipped to here. But overall, I think even though there's definitely some shit show racing going on, overall, the racing is definitely cleaner than any past Motorsport game I've played. Now, that being said, my past Motorsport games are Forza Horizon 1 to 5. I played every single one. And Forza Motorsport 5, which I believe came out on the Xbox One. Here we're going to be going for the outside pass on Warlord. Trying to get in there. We fucking thread him. Take the inside. Now we're fucking trying to pass Viable Crown. Hell yeah. Anyways. The slipstream in this game is kind of crazy too, actually. It's really, really powerful. It's really hard to pull away from people because the slipstream you just catch right back up on basically every straight, which I think is kind of cool. I don't know. I think it helps make the races competitive, having like a slipstream that actually matters. But yeah, that's what I was going to get into before, we came into the pass. Here we're also passing Viable Crown. Pretty clean. Up to 6th from when we were, I believe, at P11 at one point. So we've kind of caught back up by the time we hit lap 5 here. But yeah, with the slipstreams and just kind of how the hoppers make you use the same car as long as you're not in open racing. So there's never going to be some like insane car differences. Like, sure, you can tune it up to make it smoother or whatever. I'm not really a tuner. I'm not good at that. I'd have to kind of look up or download something. I'm not even sure if you could download tunes. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But I think having kind of everyone on a level playing field where it's mostly just about the driving and not how you tune your car, and then having everybody kind of on the slipstream. As we pass Philip there, actually, on that corner, pretty standard pass. We're now in 5th, up to 5th. So this is back where we started, all the way down to 11th, but then ended up making it back up to 5th. And I believe we finished the race in 5th. But yeah, I think the combination of everyone kind of having the same car in these hoppers and then having the slipstream really makes some of the races very competitive. And as you're going to see in the last race, even though it's kind of a shit show, and I will play the race in its entirety, even though the race is kind of a shit show, it was battles, you know? Like, there were battles the entire time, you know? There's not going to be a point where, in that race, where I'm not battling with somebody. It's always constant battles. So, really looking forward to that. We end up P5 here. Not the worst. We did qual P5. We ended P5. Not much worse you can do than that. Like, that's totally fine. Here we actually qualified P2. So I think that first lobby kind of lowered our rating for this second lobby. I think we're against slightly slower people. And we're on Hakone again because I played this a day later. Typically, how the hoppers work, if you don't know, is the hoppers, they rotate the maps. So I believe for the qualifying series, there's 3 different tracks that you can play. And they go one after another. So every 3 or every 4th track, you're going to be playing the same track you did before on your first race. But I came back the day later. We're on Hakone again. But it is a beautiful track. Let's talk about the graphics in the game a little bit, because this race is kind of a moot point. There's a little bit of battling at the beginning, but you'll see. The graphics in this game are good. There's been a lot of hate about the graphics. I run a 70 or 3070 Ti with a fairly modern 12th gen Intel processor. That being said, the graphics are not optimized. As you see, we go from, we hold second place, but Vortex ends up pulling in here. But with the graphics, they are very unoptimized. There's some settings that are very wrong. First of all, the settings are incredibly confusing. Second of all, the 60 FPS VSync version is what I set originally when I was trying to play the game, because I believe Digital Foundry said you should be using the VSync versions, and that's what I was following. But the 60 FPS VSync setting for the FPS lock completely broke my game. I would drop to like 20 FPS constantly every race on like non-intensive stuff. It was crazy. But as soon as I uncapped that and just moved it to uncapped, it was totally fine. And then I was actually able to see settings start impacting my performance, because with that 50 or 60 FPS VSync, any settings I changed, I would just stutter to 20 FPS constantly, no matter how low my settings were. And you have to restart the game every settings change. Sometimes I found like you should restart your entire computer. And there you go. Vortex kind of completely goes off the track, and we end up taking the first place lead here. And now with the 1 second gap, no one's going to be really able to get into our slipstream. So all we really need to do here is pull away and keep racing clean. And then the people behind us, if they're battling, are probably just going to slow down. And, you know, that's that. That's hopefully the entire race. Considering we were P2, we probably have just one of the fastest just plain circuit times, as long as we're not battling with anybody. So, yeah, just going to try to hold the lead here. But, yeah, that being said, there's still definitely work to be done for graphics here. I should be able to enable on my computer some pretty minor ray tracing and still be able to hold constant FPS. I can kind of do that. With ray tracing, I still stutter a bit. This second race is with ray tracing turned off, actually. Just because I found with ray tracing, I'd still be able to hold good FPS, but it would still stutter every once in a while. Without ray tracing, it holds good FPS and doesn't stutter at all. So that's what I've been using. And as you can see, the gap that was about 1.2 seconds grew to about a 3-second gap by the end of the race. And we take P1 in our second qualifying race. Huge W for the kid. And now here we're on, I believe it's called Grand Oak Raceway. And this is our qualifying lap that we get. So our first lap was a 59.36, which is currently P2. And we're going to try our very darndest to get higher than that. And I really like this track as well. Honestly, all the tracks I've been playing in this game, that's one thing to be said. I know a lot of people complain who are diehard Forza fans. Not Forza. Mixing Horizon and Forza. People who are diehard Forza fans are really disappointed with the tracks and the cars in this game. And to be frank, all of my opinions in this video are as somebody who isn't like a big sim racer. I play against like slightly above average NPCs. I play with slightly less assists than the average person. That being said, I still have most of like the general important assists on, like traction control and ABS and stuff. I don't take that off, although I do want to transition to doing that at some point. So we get like an 80 or a 59.2, I believe, which ends up getting us a P6 start. So not actually that good in this race. But the thing about this race is it immediately starts off with a shit show. You'll love to see it. People are going fucking sideways around the first corner. We go from P6 to P3 in the first turn. You'll love to see it. And we're going to keep battling here against Cosmic Flamsy here. And this race is going to be in its entirety. We are going to be watching all 8 laps of this race because it just is non-stop battle. The main contenders we're going to see here is Cosmic Flamsy, Milky Way, and then one other person. I need his name to pop up. But yeah, the guy in the KFC car, and then one other person. And it's going to be an 8-lap battle, non-stop. And it's pretty entertaining. And when I played Forza 5, which is the only other motorsport game I've played, you didn't really get these kinds of battles. It's either because I wasn't... Oh, Sparknin, or Spark Jaja. Well, just call him Sparky. Sparky. In Forza 5, it's either I wasn't good enough, or I didn't play it enough, or I didn't understand it enough, that you never really got this kind of battling. It just kind of felt people would run away with the race. You wouldn't actually get any good battles. It was like, oh, this guy's car is more tuned, it's better. He's just going to pass me. I don't remember it being like this. Now, that being said, it was a while ago. It was probably worse. Didn't understand racing as much. But, okay, that penalty, not totally sure about, but, we get the 0.5. Let's talk about the penalty system while we're battling here. The penalty system, I like it. I think it's definitely a good way to deter ramming. And as you can see, yeah, we're just battling. In second lap, we get pushed off track a little bit there. I don't think I could have kept on track without hitting him, so I think that's why it gave me no penalty. But it's definitely a good way to deter ramming along with the safety rating. I have heard the safety rating is not currently actually being used in matchmaking, but hopefully eventually they start doing that. But you can tell who the rammers are by the penalties, which is great. Typically at the end of the race, if you go and look at the penalties, you'll see people with 4 or 5 second penalties who are just punting people off. And that's good to see. There's actual consequences to doing that. In Forza Motorsport 5, there's no penalty. This is the first Motorsport, I believe, that has penalties. And definitely very nice. And then as far as new features go, we have the qualifying and practice sessions, which I love. I love the fact that you put down a qualifying lap and that's where you start. It's not completely random. It helps the races kind of flow smoother in general, I'd say, when you have a qualifying grid that is based on times. And then also it gives you a chance to kind of size up the competition beforehand. Like if you finish P3 and up, you're like, okay, I'm already starting in a podium position, but I'm probably a better driver potentially in this lobby. So you could kind of size yourself up. Like the first race I actually had after my qualifying races, I was P16, but that's because I was using a car I wasn't used to on a track I've never raced, and I just generally did pretty bad. So I was P16 out of 24, which I mean, still not the worst thing ever, but like not great. But I sized myself up being like, oh crap, this is going to be a hard race. There's going to be some really good people on the track. And it's a really good way to set new player expectations as well, right? As you see, we actually made it back up to P4. We still got Sparky behind us. But we all have the same penalties, so it's definitely a battle. I think Milky Way is probably faster on pace in general than me. So he may start pulling away here. But as I was saying, it's a good way to give newer players expectations for the race. Because I think in motorsport games, what a lot of new players might think is that you should be winning at least sometimes. But that's not usually the case for new players, especially players new to racing games in general. You will never win an online race for the most part until you actually get good-ish, essentially. Good enough. So when a new player comes in and they're like, oh, you have to set a qualifying time, and then they see they're like in the bottom 4 every race for their qualifying time, it sets the expectations that, okay, I'm going to try to maintain this position, or I'm going to try to gain a couple positions from where I started by the end of the race. Not that, oh, I have to win every single race I play. It's kind of, you're playing based on your qualifying instead of playing based on trying to win the entire race, which I kind of like. I think it's a more realistic and less tilting view about the racing. This could just be me and my thought process, and oh my lord, and then fucking Cosmic Flames, he just flies right in, and now we went from 4th to 6th, back to 5th, and now we're just battling lap 6 out of 8, and it's been the 2 same characters, Cosmic and Sparky, just racing against us. Like, this is good stuff. This is like, even though it's not the cleanest races, we're bumping into each other, it's fun, and it's still relatively clean. You don't see any of like the big Forza massive punting each other off kind of thing that I would typically see in other games. Like in this game, generally, when you go to pass somebody, they don't punt you off the track. They will realize that 1, that will give me a penalty, and then 2, that's just going to make me slower. And then you get a lot more side-by-side kind of wheel-to-wheel action, which is really fun. So anyways, overall thoughts on the game. Pretty fun. Graphics need a lot of work. Stability needs a lot of work. Generally, the technical side of the game needs a lot of work, and I really hope they improve that over time. But the multiplayer, they got a really good core here, and I'm very excited, very, very excited to play more. But yeah, let's go into the final laps here. And I do have a bonus at the end of this race of a minute of my very first ever non-qualifying race that I just thought was pure carnage. So I just thought I'd include it in the video. But going in to the final lap, as you can see, we're fucking snaking around the grid. We're getting pushed to the outside. Sparky's going on the inside. First corner. And Sparky pushes Cosmic wide, and I'm able to take the inside here, and I get back from 6th into 4th on the first turn of the final lap by some grace of God. And now Sparky is still 0.5 behind us. We both have the 0.5 penalty, so it doesn't actually matter. And then there's some carnage behind us. As you can see, the time gap just completely opens up. We're now at 1.6, and it just keeps increasing. And Cosmic gets another penalty. We're now 2.2 seconds ahead. So I didn't look, but I believe Cosmic and Sparky had enough of the 8 laps of battling after Cosmic got pushed off on the last lap. I think he had enough and probably just punted Sparky. We end up with 3.4 now, which is crazy. He probably just punted Sparky completely off based on the last lap. And as you can see, Sparky ended 9th ended 8th. So he went from 4th to 8th. So I can only imagine he just got punted off. And Cosmic ended 10th with the 2.5 second. So we ended up ending 4th. Great. And we end up with a group safety rating of S and a group skill rating of 4,630, which I believe... I don't know. I feel like the ratings are super inflated in this game, so I wouldn't put much weight on that. I think it's like probably pretty average. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And here, as a little bonus, I have some absolute carnage that is the first and second lap of my very first ever non-qualifying race. When I believe we're in a... What kind of brand of car is this? This is a Mazda, I believe. A Mazda race car. And we're going around this track here. And this is a 24-person race. Or 22, sorry, and just the first lap, we get punted off on the first corner, or we get just like pushed off on the first corner, And every single turn, this entire track, we just see people flying off, and we're able to pass them. And we go from, I believe, P20 to P11 in the first lap. And then I'll let lap 2 speak for itself. We get fucked. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want more Forza content, let me know. I'm definitely enjoying this game. I would super be down to do more race random commentaries and stuff. So, see you guys.